Hello, college football fans. What a day for me. I'm berry-tramel. I'm along with my old pal Tom Shatel, and we are launching the Tom and Barry podcast. Unfortunately, it's not Tom Osborne and Barry Switzer. This is the next best thing. The guys that covered them so long ago. But Tom, here's the deal. We're launching this podcast. Here's what I want people to know. This is not the has-beens podcast. This is the still ours podcast. You're still kicking. I'm still kicking. Just because you're doing it in the Big Ten, I'm doing a lot of it in the SEC. That's okay. That's okay. We're going to have fun talking about old times and new times. How you been, Tom?
I'm doing great. It's almost August. Tomorrow's August. It's my favorite month. I love the run up. I love the whole thing. All the interviews and stories, and everybody's got a chance. And I have to, even though we're in these foreign conferences, I did have to bring my shirt out to show everybody. And I don't know if I can twirl this around and you can see what's
Oh,
behind.
there they are.
I got that at
Man.
a
Oh, yeah.
bookstore.
Hey. Hey.
I got that at a bookstore at OU.
What? The picture?
Yeah, of
Oh,
Osborne and Switzer, and they're being interviewed by a Nebraska radio guy. I figured out by the their color of their hair and what they're wearing, and you guys, I could see the Oklahoma home jersey in the background. I think it was 79 or 81, but Nebraska back then used to do uh, a pregame, like a interview with Tom, like a few words right before kickoff.
no.
And they're at OU, and so the guy's doing it with Osborne, and it's the game of the year. Every year they've waited all year for this incredible high stakes game, and here Switzer sees it, and instead of a photo bomb, it's a radio bomb. He interrupts the interview, and you could see him try to show it again. There's a
There it is.
Osborne's laughing, and there's Barry trying to tell a joke minutes before kickoff. I just love that. I can't remember the name of the campus town square in Norman.
Yeah, Campus Corner. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a bunch of bookstores, and one of those shops had that, and it was, I don't know, $200. I said, I don't care. I got to have that. So
Well,
I
good
bought.
for you.
Yeah,
What do that probably happened. That probably happened a lot in the later years with Kirby Smart and Nick Saban, don't you think? Didn't they?
yeah.
You think they did a lot of that kind of camaraderie? Uh,
Well, maybe
different
not on the
times.
field. Yeah.
Uh, Different times, but good times.
Yep.
Well, this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
I got to admit, Tom, I miss the Cornhuskers. I don't. We got us a series 20 and no 21 and 22. So I sort of got a little bit up to speed, but I feel a little lost about Nebraska football. I mean, they're playing Rutgers and Penn State all the time now, and
Yeah.
not so much Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. So, um,
Yeah, you're telling me it's been that way ever since they left the Big 12, and that was a mess. And I mean, we could do a whole show on that, but that's in the past. But I've just never, I don't feel like Nebraska's really found its place yet in the Big Ten, and it keeps changing. It's hard to find your ground when they add East Coast, and then they went suddenly they're West Coast, and they're coast to coast. They should change it to the national conference because it's not Big Ten anymore. It's not Midwest, Chicago, 3 yards on a cloud of dust. It's all kinds of offenses, all kinds of styles and identities. I thought it was interesting in Big Ten media days. They took some shots at the SEC. They're for the first time the Big Ten. To me, the SEC has always been they've always been about being number one. They want to dominate college football. That's their identity. That's what they want to be. Big Ten always wanted to be the Big Ten. Fight songs and bow ties and
Rose
and
Bowl.
Rose Bowl libraries, all that stuff. Well, all that stuff, the Rose Bowl's gone, and
Yeah, it is.
now it's about the playoff.
Yeah.
And now they want to be number one. They've had a taste of it the last 2 years, and now they've got SC in Oregon. Um, I think it's interesting to watch this thing evolve because a lot of these schools still have their rivalry trophies, the pig and the bucket and all the other ones, but that's kind of the last bastion of the Big Ten. Ohio State, Michigan last year didn't. I mean, it still mattered to them, and they still wanted to kill each other. But Ohio State lost the devastating game at home and then won the national championship. So what did that game really mean? Well, it meant something to a lot of people, but they were able to, in the old days, you would have had a stew for a year after losing a game like that.
Yeah,
Uh,
there weren't
and
any
then,
there weren't any national championships for the loser of OU Nebraska.
no,
Yeah,
um,
that's not the way it worked.
nope. And that's what made that series so great. And every game, every year, it mattered. It was the top two, and Colorado came along eventually, and K-State for a couple of years. But yeah, it's and that's the thing, Barry. I always hear, ever since 2000, the Saban years at Alabama, the SEC has been pounding the drum on being the best conference. But back in the day, nobody ever cared who the best conference was. The Big Eight had a button or something. The Big Eight is great or something, but it was about the college football has always been about the dynasties, not the best conference. So now all of a sudden it's about conferences and playoff bids and power and everything else.
Yeah. Well, when you look at the Big Ten, you're right. They are talking smack, but you win two national titles in a row, you get to talk smack. So, the SEC people get all worked up about the Big Ten, but SEC hasn't even put a team in the title game, and frankly, they've only got a team in the semifinals the last 2 years. Really out of luck. I mean, Alabama got in on over Florida State because of a quarterback injury. Texas makes the semifinals last year because of a 4th and 13 pass in overtime, in which was otherwise the Longhorns are doomed. So the SEC's in a little bit of a transformation where they got to start proving themselves, which is new to them.
Yeah. Yeah, I
But
think, Barry, I thought the real shocking thing for me last year was Georgia. Georgia's been kind of taken to the place of Bama at the top, the team to beat in the college football, and they didn't look great. I mean, they look obviously very good, but um, the playoff, and I just don't. I don't know what the SEC, the power structure is right now. I've seen a lot of predictions that OU is going to be up there this year. Texas is starting off number one probably, um, but I don't know who else. Think about Alabama, and you and I know this better than almost anybody. And Husker fans and Sooner fans know that it's sometimes a coach is just that good, and you can't
yeah,
replace him. And
no, that's right.
we've both seen it, and now Bama's seeing it, and that'll be interesting to see. Especially that first game. There's a lot of talk out of Florida State, and they've kind of rebooted their roster, and Norvell's under some pressure, and that'll be a hell of a first game. But um, you know that when when Bama hired the guy from Washington, and he's a very
Kalen
good.
Moore, Kalen, yeah,
Caleb, yeah, he's a very good coach, but I thought, man, he better be careful because you don't want to be the guy who replaces the legend. You want to be the guy who replaces the guy.
yeah,
So he'll get a very short leash there.
yeah. Well, it's going to be fun, and of course, I got a lot of eyes on the Huskers. Nebraska hired one of my favorite coaches in college football. I just think Matt Rule is the total package. I thought he would do very well in Lincoln. I think since I met him the first day of Big 12 Media Days in 2017, his first year at Baylor, I thought, wow, this guy's the real deal. Uh, it looks like the arrow's moving up on Nebraska under Matt Rule.
Yes, and I just wrote about uh, our old friend Dana Holgerson today, and he's certainly the real deal. They've got a, I think this is their best coaching staff since the Osborne days. And I may not be saying much, but they've had some pretty good coaches, but just as overall staff. What's interesting about Rule is the way he interacts with people, the way way he treats Nebraska tradition. It's like he spent his whole life here, and he's just been here 2 years. You know, Scott Frost was from here and did not do any of the things that I mean were just Nebraska things that Matt Rule has done. And development, physicality, he's trying to bring it back. And imagine Nebraska not being physical, but they when they fired Frank Silwich, they got away from it. And
Yeah,
it's taken them 20 years to try to get it back.
yeah. Of course, the Sooners a little bit in the same boat. Has not been in the wilderness nearly as long as Nebraska, but two losing seasons in the last 3 years under Brent Venables. I remember Brent Venables. I think it was his third game as coach. The Sooners go to Lincoln.
Hmm.
Nebraska just fired Scott Frost, and Sooners hang a whipping on Nebraska. And you thought, hey, Venables isn't going to miss a beat. Oklahoma football going to be doing what it did under Bob Stoops, under Lincoln Riley. And since that day, OU is 19 and 17 overall.
Yeah.
So, big year for Brent Venables at Oklahoma. He's got the defense back, but the offense is gone. So, both of these teams really need a big year. And we'll be talking about this all year. But at least the Huskers have an interesting opener. I like the opener. Cincinnati in Arrowhead's a fun game. Oklahoma is playing the mighty Illinois State Redbirds. And Wayman Tisdale's 1985 basketball team played Illinois State in the first round of the NCAAs, and Illinois State put up a good fight. Is a really good game. That's not going to happen on Owen Field. Uh, so
No,
uh,
I
we don't
yeah,
know what it's going to take us a while in Oklahoma to find out what kind of team Brent Venables has. Not necessarily so in Lincoln. I think you'll get a good read on what you got when you're playing Cincinnati.
well, the game I want to see is OU Michigan right out kind of that's their second or third game, I
Week two,
think.
yep, week two.
Yeah. And that's Sharon Moore has been suspended, but he gets to pick which games he's sitting out. He picked Nebraska. Um,
Yeah, that was odd.
well, he played for the Sooners, correct?
I knew he wanted to come to Norman, but
Yeah.
I thought there
Well,
were
he
some
wasn't
rum
going to
dums
miss
he could
the
take.
yeah, wasn't going to miss the OU game, and he probably wasn't going to miss their home opener. Um, and let's face it, Nebraska is just another game for Michigan. They don't see it as a big rivalry or any kind of a hurdle. They certainly respect the rule, but yeah, he can't miss the game in Norman. He can't go back. He can't miss going back to Norman. There's no way. So, but yeah, I'm really as a longtime follower of OU football, been very curious to see how they'll fit into the SEC. I always thought that the Big 12 was better than a lot of people gave it credit for. I thought the run Bob Stoops went on, winning all those titles was just very impressive because I thought the Big 12 may not be great, but it's very competitive and it's good. And they've always had a lot of good players and coaches. But the SEC is another level. And how is Oklahoma going to handle that every week? Well, I think we'll know more about that this year. I think this is probably Venables' best team, right? And I think we've seen Texas has handled it so far fine, but it's different. And That's what got Nebraska in trouble was not necessarily that the Big Ten was so good um, or so great, but the Big Ten was just good enough that to me, the SEC is uh, it's a league of talent. It's a league of NFL draft picks. The Big Ten has, has got better coaches. Just ask Kurt Signetti; he'll tell you. But the Big Ten, they don't beat themselves. And Nebraska came out of the Big 12 real sloppy and not playing real physical, and it took its toll on them. And they're still trying to figure out how to not beat themselves. That'll be Matt Rule's biggest challenge, year three. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, the preseason polls will be out soon. I expect the Sooners might crack the top 25, be near the bottom. I suspect Nebraska won't, but will be pretty close. So I don't think these squads will be
Yeah,
too far apart. I think you're going to be writing about, or you have written about the value of preseason polls. A lot of talk these days about should we get rid of them? Are they a albatross around the sport because of the stigma in August carrying on throughout the season? What we used to live for the AP poll coming out, the coaches polls out. We're like Steve Martin in The Jerk. The new phone books are here. The new polls are here.
absolutely.
So what do you think about preseason polls circa 2025?
Yeah, there's a movement among media and even some coaches to get rid of them. I think they think that they impact the playoff committee too much. Um, I don't care either way. I voted in the AP poll once, 1984. I was
Ooh,
uh,
yeah,
the
that's a
year
big year. That's a
the
big
year
year.
OU played Washington in the Orange Bowl, and that was the BYU year. And I'm proud to say I voted for the Cougars um, that year, and there really wasn't a clear cut team above them. But it's hard, especially in the summer. Are you voting on how they finished last year, or are you voting on what they have back? And some of the new guys, especially in a day and age of the portal, you have no idea who
Half
these.
back is gone. That's
Yeah,
half back is gone. Nobody knows what anybody has.
no, so you can't. Um, but on the other hand, if there's a college basketball poll or two of them, that the NCAA basketball committee doesn't even look at those polls. They don't care about them. They don't use them for a analytic or a guide or a tool. Um, so if you can have them in basketball, not influence the postseason committee, well, why can't you do that in football? I think the biggest issue for the college football playoff committee is having those darn meetings every week and also releasing the polls every week. Stop doing that. Don't, in college basketball, they have a little snapshot. They release a top 16 in February. They tell you okay, here's the top 16 teams on our list right now. If it ends right now, here's what we do. And so just if you want to release a little snapshot of that in November, but then no more until you select the teams. We shouldn't know where anybody stands until the very end. Because I mean, it gets weird. You go into conference championship Saturday, and um, you're looking at the last week's playoff poll. Well, so and so's four and so and so's five. Well, that team at 5 and 6 has no chance to get in. So it doesn't matter what they do this week. Well, we shouldn't have that. We should not know anything. We should just go to the end, not knowing, and none of these teams should really know where they are. Every game should matter to them. And anyway, I just think the playoff committee they kind of overdo it. There's almost too much access there. So, but as far as preseason polls, it's fine. Um, but if they went away with them, I don't think I'd be that upset.
I don't really even pay attention to the. I actually look at the preseason poll, but after that, I don't even really look at the AP poll or the coaches poll
Um,
anymore. I just don't do it. And you know, when you talk about the playoff committee, um, I was very disappointed. I don't know, I was a neutral observer last year. Sooners, Cowboys, they weren't involved. Cornhuskers weren't involved. You were neutral. I thought they did a very poor job down the stretch of the rankings and the final rankings. There was virtually no consideration of strength of schedule. An 11-1 Indiana playing virtually nobody gets in. SMU gets in as an at-large, played none of the top three teams in the ACC, so they were rewarded for going 8-0 in the ACC. Texas and Penn State, clearly playoff teams, but they get 3 and 4. They get ranked 3 and 4 despite very inferior strengths of schedule. I mean, the idea that Penn State should have been ranked ahead of Ohio State last season, I think was just absurd. The Buckeyes won
right.
at Happy Valley and lost, lose it by 1 point at Oregon. So the committee needs to really, it says it considers strength of schedule. I saw no evidence of it last season.
Yeah, I agree. And the way they did the seating was bad. I mean, I'm not saying that, Arizona State and Boise and SC that they can't, you know, be the top four, but they weren't top four. And to get the buys, you should earn the buys. That's how Barry, I think the way college football is right now, it's kind of slanted toward the SEC and Big Ten. They're going to have the best strength of schedule, although, as you said, Indiana didn't really, they avoided a lot of the teams. Um, but I just feel like they don't need to have four automatic bids because it's not good for the game. But second, it's just they don't need it. They're going to SEC and Big Ten are going to get four teams in no matter what, because everything is kind of slanted their way. And if they would not play anybody from the Big 12 or ACC in non-conference, how are those 2 weeks going to get any kind of power on their schedules? How are they going to get any? Because most of the brand names, top schools, are in the SEC and Big Ten. So I always feel like they're going to get more playoff bids no matter what. They don't need to have the automatic bids.
But you know what, Tom? In the last month, I've sort of come around to the Big Ten plan. I sort of like it for this reason. It cuts the committee out.
Well,
Cuts the committee out, especially
that's
if they do that. If we went to a 4-4-3-3 model where the Big
yeah.
12 and the ACC each get three. Now, of course, I admit, I mean, you're wearing the Big 8 shirt. I'm flying the Big 12 flag. I'm trying to look out for the little guy. I don't want the ACC and the Big 12 shut out, reduced to second class status. But I sort of like the idea that you have to play your way in, and we take as much opinion out of it as possible. And I've sort of come around to that, and the idea that you have two, what would it be? Two, you'd have a championship game and two play-in games for the SEC and the Big Ten on championship weekend. That sort of appeals to me. We can't get
That,
these teams to play good non-conference games for crying out loud.
right.
Everybody wants to play rum-dums, so you got to sort of create your own really good games, and on championship weekend, that would give us a lot more games. I'm sort of on board with the Big Ten.
I like the playing game part, and I know some people don't want the sixth ranked team, in each league to make the playoff. But a lot of times, there's not much difference between 3, 4, 5, and 6. They're right there together. So why not play in? I think it gives everybody more incentive to, the regular season games matter more, and you would play better non-conference. I mean, Nebraska just ended the Tennessee series partially because, well,
Yeah.
story behind that was they asked Tennessee to move the series, and Tennessee wouldn't do it because they're rebuilding their stadium. They're renovating, and it won't be ready for that for the year Tennessee was coming to Lincoln. But um, part of it was they looked at the playoff last year and said, well, um, playing tough non-conference doesn't help you.
Doesn't help you. That's right.
So
Doesn't
what are
help
we doing? Well, let's just win some games. So
you. Can't, and you listen, after what the committee did, I can't blame anybody. I can't blame Nebraska,
I
can't blame Indiana, can't blame Penn State, can't blame those people.
I would love a Big Ten SEC series in non-conference games. I did a list.
I
I,
saw
I
that. Yeah, I
did
enjoyed that.
I did 16. I threw out Rutgers and Maryland because I don't know the SEC wants to play them anyway. But unless it was Rutgers, Tennessee with the Shiano Bowl. But I love the OU USC game right now. I just love that. And I've always thought Nebraska ought to play LSU anyway. But yeah, maybe if you had the automatics, I don't know. Do you need to have four? Would it be better to have three? And then I like having some wild cards or at larges available. I like just, but you're right though. The committee has not proven that they're worthy
Yeah.
of that kind of responsibility.
Typical college football. Everybody got mad at the committee last season,
Yep.
certain segments of the Big Ten, maybe. And so what do they do? They give the committee even more power with doing away with the automatic buys and all that stuff. It's
Yeah.
it's madness. We'll see. Maybe they'll get it figured out. We're about out of time, Tom, but I do want to talk about a guy that back in the days when we were still watching the Big Eight into the Big 12, we never considered this guy as being an impact person in college football. But now he's at a school that's an old rival of the Huskers, an old rival of the Sooners, and that's Deion Sanders at Colorado. Lightning rod guy. I mean, quick synopsis. Everybody doubted him when he got hired at Colorado. Said no way you can build a program with 60 transfers and running people off, blah blah blah. Well, danged if he hadn't done it. Great year for Colorado in year two. Re-energized a fan base that basically had gone to sleep for Rip Van Winkle, and now, of course, he's back in the news with the story of his recovery from bladder cancer. Had his bladder removed. Tom, I thought his press conference the other day was stunningly fabulous. The public service that Deion Sanders performed. This is a guy that can speak to football people, which is a lot of guys our age. And
Yeah.
let me tell you what we don't like to do. We don't want to go around talking to the public about bladder cancer. And what do you do if you got to all of a sudden urinate in ways you don't want to? And here's Deion Sanders up there talking about it and joking about it in a very, very cool way. I thought his message, hey, go get yourself checked. I thought it was just a tremendous public service.
Yeah. And some coaches would have just had like a short press release, or at least just send something. I've gone through a medical issue, and I'll be back, and not really. I thought the transparency and the way he handled that was like you said, stunning. It was incredible. Um, I've not been a fan of everything Dion has done at Colorado, but I got to say, the more I watch the guy and I'm around him, or just from afar, I've become a fan of him as a person and a coach. The guy has obviously one of the great talents of defensive back, one of the all-time talents in the game. But been a lot more style. There's a lot of talk. It's sizzle and PR stuff, and all his Colorado press conferences were always about him and all this. He's trying to sell, you know, something to people, but man, there's a lot of substance to this
Yep.
guy, and he he's there's a lot of toughness there, for a guy that used to get chided by the media and fans because he wouldn't tackle, didn't want
Yeah,
contact, right? That was always
that's right.
Deion's deal.
That's it.
This is a tough dude, a tough hombre, and my hat's off to him, and a lot of respect, and it was a lot of prayers for him. I don't know how much longer he'll coach with this and everything he's been through. Man, that body's been through a lot, and the Big 12 is rough. I mean, it's you've got everybody, and Utah's everybody. I mean, it's crazy how good the good and competitive that league is. So um, it'll be and his top two guys are gone, so we'll see what he's got. I'm sure he's recruited some talent, but the Big 12's got a lot of coaches and a lot of players. So anyway, whatever happens to him, I hope he's still around, and I hope he's in football, and I sure have more respect for him.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I can tell you this, he's been great for the Big 12, Tom.
Yes.
Now, year one, out in Las Vegas, Big 12 Media Days, he came across as a lot of chip on his shoulder. Everybody was out to get him. He laughed about it, but his message was not joking.
Right.
He let you know that, hey, nobody here respects me. Nobody here likes us. That gets really tiresome to me.
That's
I
right.
thought so he was a turnoff in 2024.
Yeah.
2025, a few weeks ago down in Frisco, he couldn't have been more charming. We didn't know anything about the bladder cancer, but he basically stole the show. He was
Yeah.
fantastic with his answers in the press conferences, affable, funny, fairly informative. I thought it was a 24. I mean, I'm sorry, I thought it was a 180-degree turn, and very impressed. And now knowing what he was going through
Yeah.
and able to still do that, he made more of a fan out of me. And Colorado to me is a wild card every year with Deion Sanders. We'll see how they do. Tied for first place last year. Didn't get the tiebreaker, but
Yeah.
to me it's just fun to see Folsom Field alive because you covered
Mhm.
so many great Husker games at Folsom Field, which is a cool place to watch college football. I covered a bunch of Oklahoma State games in Folsom Field, and to see that place basically a ghost town for 15 years longer, it's just stunning. I didn't know if it would come back. I didn't know if it. Nebraska always has the chance to come back because you got 3 million Nebraskans who want it to come back. Colorado's fan base was not that, and I didn't know
Oh,
if it could be. I didn't know if it could be resurrected, but danged if Deion didn't do it.
he did wake him up. There's, that's a tough market for college football. Everything out there is orange and blue, and that is a fan base that does not put a lot into, and the school has not put a lot into football. They've got the facilities are good, but in the era of NIL, I thought, well, Colorado is really going to lag behind, and they've gotten it done, and it's all because of him. And it's the power of a coach's personality. Again, we've seen it with Switzer, we've seen it other places. Um, you can't argue that, and because two transformational players, um, one who won the Heisman, one who got his jersey retired for whatever reason. I've talked to some Colorado alums who are not happy about that, but that's their problem.
Yeah, you got to
But
some things you got to live with when you got Deion Sanders.
well, and before we go to Barry, I got to say I really enjoyed the SEC Network show on the Wishbone.
Oh
What
yeah,
a fantastic! You were in there, Kirk Bowles, but it's just stuff I didn't know about Darrell Royal and giving it to Oklahoma. I never knew that, and oh my goodness, that was something that changed college football and probably changed OU in Texas, not for the better for Texas, But what an incredible story that was. And I encourage anybody out there who loves college football, when that show comes on, you know, DVR it, tape it, watch it over and over like I am. And I forgot the Alabama got involved with it too.
Oh,
So
yeah,
name's Barry Bryant.
that's right. That's exactly right. So yeah,
So anyway,
the wishbone was a lot of fun. I don't have to tell Nebraskans that. They know all about it. So, well, Tom, this has been fun. This has been
yep,
great. This is our inaugural show. I hope the first of many. I hope the first of hundreds. I need to start a list because I like to keep things for posterity's sake. So this is going to be a blast. I've been wanting to do this for a while and talking about new times, talking about old times, but also new times with old friends. This is
yep.
what I needed as we go through this brave new world of college football.
I love it. I can't wait to keep going.
All right, we'll talk to you next week. Thanks for joining us on the inaugural Tom and Barry podcast. We'll see you next week.